I will call the meeting to, the regular meeting of the Lisle Park District Board of Park Commissioners to order for Thursday, May 16th, 2024 at 7 o'clock. Dan, can I get a roll call vote?
Yes, Commissioner Tapella,
Here.
Commissioner Wessel,
Here.
Commissioner Hummel,
Here.
Commissioner Dombrowski is absent. President Alpeter.
Here. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I don't need to do remote attendance.
No, and I can let you know if he does come
Okay.
on, and then we can just do it then, if that's okay.
Yeah, we have no presentations. Let's see. We will now conduct the annual meeting. I would like to appoint Commissioner Tapella to act as temporary chair for the purpose of conducting the election of the president and vice president of the Board of Park Commissioners.
I'll entertain a motion to dissolve the present slate of officers of the Board of Park Commissioners. Is
So moved.
Second.
there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, no, not yet.
No,
Not for
but
this
don't we
one.
have to do, oh, because he's not remote. If he was remote, we'd have to do roll call. Go ahead.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. I'll entertain nominations for the office of President of the Board of Park Commissioners.
I nominate Commissioner Wessel for the office of president.
Second.
If there's no other nominations, I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Nominations are now closed. I move to elect Commissioner Wessel as president. Oh, I can't say that. Sorry.
I move to, wait a second. I move to elect Commissioner Wessel as president.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Alpeter,
Aye.
Commissioner Hummel,
Aye.
Commissioner Tapella,
Aye.
Commissioner Wessel,
Do I abstain? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Any comments, new president?
Just thank you guys. This will be, obviously something new for me. So, thank you for trusting with me with this. And then, just look forward to the year ahead. I think there are a lot of fun projects and I look forward to doing them.
Great. So I'll entertain nominations for the office of Vice President of the Board of Park Commissioners.
I'll nominate Commissioner Alpeter for the office of Vice President.
Second.
All right. If there's no other nominations, I'll entertain a motion to close nominations.
So
Oh.
moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passed. Nominations are now closed.
I move to elect Commissioner Alpeter as Vice President.
Second. Oh,
Or is there any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Wessel,
Aye.
Commissioner Hummel,
aye.
Commissioner Tapella,
Aye.
Commissioner Alpeter.
Aye.
Motion passes. New Vice President, any comments?
I have no, nothing this time.
All right, I'll turn it over to you, President Wessel.
That's weird. All right, I will entertain a motion to appoint, Superintendent Silver as Port Barger.
So
Port
moved.
Treasurer.
Second,
Is there any discussion?
I guess the only discussion will still be like last year. I still think it should be a commissioner that historically has had that title until last year. So that's the only thing.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
President states, motion passes. I will entertain a motion to appoint Director Garvey to the office of Park Board Secretary.
So moved.
Second,
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I will entertain a motion to appoint Director Garvey as the Lisle Park District Representative to CSPAR.
So moved,
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The motion passes. Okay, so that's the annual meeting. All right, we'll move on to public comment. Visitors are welcome to address the Board of Park Commissioners. You are asked to raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the board president. When recognized, please move to the lectern, speak into the microphone, and state your name, address, and the item you wish to discuss. It is requested that one spokesperson for a group be appointed to present the views of the entire group, rather than having multiple individuals repeat similar opinions. There will be a 5-minute time limit per speaker. Any comment? All right, seeing none. I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
I move to approve the meeting agenda for Thursday, May 16th, 2024 as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Dan, can I have we do a roll call vote? No. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda items A through C, inclusive of the May 2024 voucher list in the amount of $252,863.23.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, Dan, can I get a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Alpeter,
Aye.
Commissioner Tapella,
Aye.
Commissioner Hummel,
Aye.
President Wessel.
Aye. All right, communications are in the packet. Any questions, comments on the communications? No. All right, next agenda item is the decennial committee. So I know there's a second draft document for us to discuss. So Dan,
If the citizen members come up here to the.
It's going to beat my record. Shortest meeting.
goal, that was the goal.
I know.
All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Dan.
Sure. Like to think the cover memo is self-explanatory. We had met 2 months ago, incorporated some of those suggested revisions, and then Susan Ross went through with a fine tooth comb and cleaned up a lot of the formatting and some typos, and it's looking a lot better. There's still a couple little things we each noted, but otherwise it's presented here for further commentary and input.
Yeah,
I know you had.
yeah. So I have a lot I've warned everybody.
And I
So-
wish you would have, I kind of wish you would have sent them so that we would have
Okay,
maybe added our input to that.
all right.
So
So,
that's just for going forward. I mean, for me, I don't know how the other board members feel, but I like to see, yeah, especially if it's items that, you know, maybe we would have added to, or maybe, I don't know, I just would have liked to see.
okay,
I'll just say in fairness, Tom asked if he wanted it, if I wanted to see them via email, and I said, I suggested just hang on to them so the whole board can see them or can
But-
hear them together.
And
So,
my only, now, we're not officially in a meeting of that committee.
yeah. Right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Was notice given? I mean, that's why I want to make sure, because
Yeah.
don't we have one other board member?
Yeah, notice was given. It's
Okay.
been posted with the same time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
oh, so, so like in the beginning too, where it says it's extremely beneficial to be separate, that, I mean, I get that, but it's kind of an opinion. I mean, some people would argue it's not beneficial.
Tom, sorry to interrupt. Can you reference page numbers as you're?
Oh, I'm sorry.
so we can-
It's the page 40 or page 5 of the document. So
Thank you.
I'll refer it to page 40 of the packet and then page
Perfect.
Cool, thanks.
of the,
By the document.
yeah, page 5. So it's kind of in the first, I guess it's in the second paragraph. I just think it's an opinion if it's extremely beneficial to be separate. Because I know like some other communities do have parks and recreation and a lot of people can't tell the difference. I know there's sometimes confusion if that the village and park district are separate too. So I don't know if that's, I mean, that one's just an opinion. I don't know if that's qualifies. I don't know what everybody else thinks. So,
I would say, I mean, I see the point that you're making.
Yeah.
In reading it though, I think what it's stating, at least my interpretation of this, is it's saying it's extremely beneficial and here are the reasons why. So the bullet points then support the commentary about it. Why is it beneficial? It's beneficial because of points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on.
mhm.
I would have no problem with rewording the language if you think it's too.
Yeah, I mean, I think
opinion-based.
stating the fact that we're separate is definitely, that's accurate. I mean, probably the last part, which operates apart from general purpose government, is extremely beneficial to the community for many reasons. That line maybe should just be struck. The rest of it, I think, is fine because it's just stating a fact that we're separate.
I mean, I guess I just kind of disagree because that's what, one of the whole things we were talking about is why we are beneficial and what, talking about what we do provide to the community. That's one of the,
Could I propose maybe using the wording for the following benefits and then going on to, because that's the point, right? To your point,
right, I mean,
Yeah, maybe just like providing the following benefits or something like that.
I mean,
Because I mean,
I think we're
these are facts
reading
that-
too much
yeah.
into
Yeah.
just one.
because I mean, it's
portion of it.
supposed to be like an efficiency committee. And I know originally the original bill was a consolidation, like a consolidation type bill of some sort. So, I mean, again, it's just an opinion. So, I mean, if the rest of the board, I mean, if you want to reword it, I'm okay with that. Because like I said, it's probably just the one sentence.
If I can just add, so
yeah.
I think
I
this
personally like-
whole report is, I mean, shouldn't say riddled, but it's full of opinions that the
Sure.
park district, that the board and this body has. So,
I mean, I
it's,
guess that, I would argue even through all of our strategic planning processes and cost recoveries and any interactions that where we've solicited the community, I think that's always been one of the takeaways from our feedback is that they do find benefit in us. So I don't think that saying that in our document is necessarily
Susan or less.
and I kind of, right, and I kind of agree with Tim is that, I mean, we're outlining why it is a benefit. If you said that or if you did, yeah, I mean, so.
Well, I don't think it's an argument against benefit of the services themselves. It's just if there's a need for two separate entities. So, I mean, again, if there's that support, then I mean, we can move on from that one. But, or if you want to reword it a little bit,
I'm fine with it as it is.
I'm okay with it as is after,
Yeah, I'm-
after
yeah.
discussing it and understanding the purpose.
then skipping down a little bit further in the page with the protection of revenues. I guess how it's, where the argument was about separate entities and all that. If we were hypothetically under a municipality, I mean, you would have access to other sources of revenue and you could streamline operations. So I guess that's my question or if anything else, try to be consistent throughout the document. We're arguing why it's a benefit to be separate. But on the flip side of the coin, when we talk about like other units of government, how they have other sources of revenue, an argument could be made, well, if the park district hypothetically was just the parks and recreation of a village, you then could have access to those other streams of revenue.
I think the point here is that you could lose those streams of revenue as well.
I mean, nobody's gonna.
But Tom, you're talking hypotheticals. I mean, again, I would argue you're on a political platform with that,
Oh, I
because
know.
that's not the way, I'm just saying, because that's not the way we are structured. So this report is, I took it that we were analyzing how we are structured and how the taxpayers have voted that we get structured and how our, our town is structured. So I mean, that's a whole other argument.
But I
Right.
guess that's right. 'cause
We
it's
can't
an
talk about
efficient-
anything that's
But it's
hypothetical.
like an efficiency report. So if we're trying to highlight efficiencies, and again, the original intent of the bill was, it was like some type of consolidation type bill. So if there's no support, I guess we can.
I mean, I
move
think the whole
on.
section is just, it's, it's titled general overview, right? So it's not necessarily, I mean, everything it's saying in here is true, right? Like, yeah, I think it's just meant to be an overview of where we're at right now.
And actually, this one was in the first draft that I had put in on page 41 or page 6 of the document. It's on the second sentence. It says the park district only reliable tax revenues come from a modest portion of a resident's overall property tax bill. I would still strike the word modest. It is the third highest line item on the tax bill, and modest, that is a very subjective term. I mean, people
I
just
agree
got
with,
the,
I don't think the word modest is necessary for getting the point across,
Yeah.
because we're talking about
Yeah.
what the percentage is.
yeah. So if you just put like come from a portion of the resident's overall property tax bill, I'm fine. I just think the word modest should be struck.
That's fine.
All right.
I'm fine with that.
What else did I have here? And so like on page 42 and 43, where it talks about C-SPAR, Paderma, and IPBC, those are good examples. I'm totally in agreement with that. On page 44, page 9 of the document, the IMRF, I think that whole thing should be struck, because I don't see how that's a benefit or an efficiency. I mean, a pension is a liability. And I mean, I would argue a 401k, if we want to talk about efficiencies, I would argue a 401k would be better. It's not in the taxpayer's best interest. So I would just strike that whole section. I don't see how the IMRF.
So if I'm reading it correctly, it's not making the argument that the IMRF in and of itself is the benefit, but the way that we have funded the IMRF is the benefit,
Oh, I
and that
see.
we've been responsibly funding it.
That's how I interpret it as well. And it's my understanding, aren't we as a park district, we're required to participate in IMRF?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't disagree with that, but I guess
And-
again, if it's an efficiency commit, I mean, I know we talk about unfunded mandates at the end, but I don't see how the IMRF itself should apply to this report. I mean,
I would agree, again, if it were just the IMRF,
Yeah.
but it's specifically saying here, it's not saying the IMRF is the efficiency. It's saying that because we're funding it responsibly, there's many different ways that we could manage the IMRF, but the way that the park district has chosen to manage it is where the efficiency comes in.
Very well put.
yeah, but I still just think I would leave it out. I mean, I understand how we've done it might have been good, but I just don't think I don't think it really applies to the report personally.
What I would suggest with it is maybe we change the title to Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund Management, just to clarify that what we're saying is the efficiency is the management of the fund itself.
A little bit later on the page, the intergovernmental agreements are good. On page 45, I like the partnerships. So we have here. On page 48, on page 13 at the bottom where it's reliance on non-tax revenue. Again, just I would eliminate most units of government, or it says unlike most local governments. I would like use the word some other units of local government, because only really municipalities and county receive sales tax. And even with the income tax, I know it's mentioned a little bit later on, the LGDF, that the village itself doesn't receive income tax. It does receive a portion of it through the LGDF. So maybe just eliminate the income tax and just keep the reference to the LGDF, the legislative or the local government distribution fund is probably the most accurate. So I would
Would you
just,
have it read?
I would just say, unlike some local governments that rely on a wide range of sales use, I would strike income tax. The park district is not permitted to assess these types of income types of taxes, because municipalities do not do not directly issue or are able to levy an income tax. I know Chicago's trying to do it right now, but I don't think that's going anywhere. So-
Is that point necessary in order to make this an example of an efficiency, an operating efficiency? The way you guys read it? Anyone else? Like, do you need to have that point about the income tax in there, or does it still make the point without it?
Where you just change the word income to other.
Other taxes?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I would just take out most from low, because it's only probably 10% of the units of
Yeah.
10% of the units of government.
That's fine.
And then finishing up with that paragraph as it goes into page 49. I know it says how we do not receive some of these, but then the very top of the next page, it says how we did receive CARES Act funding through DuPage County and also some through FEMA. So I guess going back, I apologize, back to 48, I would eliminate the CARES Act reference, since we did get some, it references on page 49. So it is kind of a contradiction. We didn't get any CARES. It says we did not get any direct financial assistance from the CARES Act, but yet we did, I mean, through the county. So I think that's kind of a contradiction. Bottom of 48 into 49.
I think
That's a
fair.
good call out,
That's
yeah.
fair, yeah.
So would you remove CARES from the bottom of 48?
Yeah,
in
at the
big
bottom of
paragraph,
40.
but
Yeah, I
then
would
leave
take it
in
out
the
of
Call out
48.
later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fair, I think.
What, yeah, can you be clear, what specifically? Can you
So,
read it how you want
sure,
it?
I would,
Starting with all.
yeah, so also unlike Illinois cities, villages, counties, and school districts that receive billions of dollars in direct financial assistance from the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan Act, our park district did not receive any direct federal aid. So I would probably just eliminate that sentence.
But we need, the other ones we didn't receive, right? So the only
Correct.
one
You
we
could put
actually
ARPA.
received was,
Yeah, you could put ARPA,
Because
but,
CARES we did receive
We
from
did through
DuPage
the
County, but
county.
we didn't receive federal CARES funds, correct?
but that is a federal program. It just funneled through the
DuPage
county,
County.
correct? Yeah.
so you would strike it, so you would have it read financial assistance from the Coronavirus Aid Relief and the American Rescue Plan Act. So it's taking out that section that references Economic Security CARES Act
Well, the
or the whole thing
Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act is the
Yeah.
CARES.
is the whole thing. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Thank
I
you.
mean, I would get rid of that whole sentence. If you want to keep the ARPA part, I suppose you could do that. Because I don't think we received any of that, correct?
I don't think so.
Okay,
ARPA.
okay. So I mean, you could keep ARPA.
Just remove the coronavirus aid relief and
Yep.
economic security
Yep.
CARES Act and.
Hence the whole
Yeah.
CAR.
That's why I just say
I
CARES.
just
Act.
got rid of that RS part.
She just did you the bomb this idea. You're just like, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see here. And then also, I guess with that too, we did receive the OSLA grant. I know it does reference it at the end of page 49. So I was gonna say, you know, that kind of contradicts some of that, but just leave that. And then on page 53, 18, like in the middle where it's facilities, where it says River and Golf Club and Wheat Stack, I would just probably eliminate the Wheat Stack since that no longer exists. What, I don't know if you just want
Yeah,
to,
I'm there.
on page 53,
Oh, 18.
That's there just because the heading is we offered the following facilities to the community last year.
And we did.
okay,
Oh,
that's fair.
that makes
That's
sense.
fair. And then I do agree with the unfunded mandates section. That's good. And on page 55, which is page 20, I guess it's like the second paragraph towards the end, when it was talking about intergovernmental fees. Where it says, meaning it can like talk about villages or other community or counties or other units of government.
I lost you, Tom. Where
I'm
you at?
sorry,
Sorry.
page 55
Yep.
and then
What page is it though?
page 20.
Okay,
Towards the top of 20.
thank you.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm tracking.
So in many cases, so it's the second paragraph with the second sentence. So in many cases, the unit of government assessing the fee ultimately benefits the project or event, meaning it could recoup its cost through extra sales tax, increased property values, hence increased property taxes. I would argue that's probably a stretch to say it could recoup its cost through sales tax. I mean, it depends what that's, what type of event and if it's a sales tax generating event. Also increased property taxes are not what I would consider efficient. It could go, property taxes go up even if property values fall. So again, I would probably, in my opinion, I would strike that line out. Cause especially the property tax part, because I don't know how that would be a good thing for the property owners. Because like I said, even if the property value goes down, taxes typically go up. So.
I want to digest that one a bit.
Yeah.
Can we put a note by it and,
Sure.
okay.
And that's all I have. Sorry, I should have sent it, I guess. It's like, sorry.
I advised you wrong,
Yeah,
Tom.
that's okay.
Sorry.
Just like even with that, I think I'm, along with Terry, I'm gonna have to read that 4 or 5 times to try to get a cap on what,
There's a lot going on in that
yeah,
second sentence.
exactly.
It's a
So-
heavy one.
And kind of that's the perfect example of what maybe why, because then I would have maybe spent
Yeah.
some time on that, looking at that this week.
So you're proposing on that one, just. so I'm clear.
I would strike out that from the, in many cases.
The first
Basically,
sentence
yeah,
you're
that
okay
whole
with.
thing.
The first sentence you're okay with. The second one is where.
Yeah, the first part, because I would actually agree with that 100%.
it's-
So, but the rest of it, because it's, the sales tax, that depends, but the increased property values, hence property taxes, I don't know how that's.
It's almost like one, and then, yeah, I mean, it's a benefit in a sense where it's aiding the property owner in the sense that their property value is increasing, but I know along with that comes
Yeah.
Income.
the higher tax
Yeah.
bill.
But on the flip, but like I said, if you go back 15 years ago where property values were falling, the taxes still went up. So, I mean, your taxes are going up no matter what.
You might as well have a real nice park in your
Yeah.
backyard.
100%.
Susan or Leslie, we kind of railroaded that conversation a
That's
little bit,
okay.
but any comment from you guys?
Well, I'll just say, as Dan said, I went through it mostly from an editorial kind of
Mhm.
standpoint. I may not be as well versed in all the intricacies of the content, so there's not much I can weigh in here on some of the points that you were making about taxes and other implications, but on a read through of this draft now, I had told Dan, I noticed a handful of other things that are just, fixing up either formatting items, but not so much content related. So I'm thinking after hearing your input and, everybody's comments about it and processing it, I don't know if Dan, you're the funnel maybe, or how that's going to work to determine which comments get incorporated or how to balance what changes
Yeah,
to
I'm
make.
taking direction.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we made any decision on that paragraph in intergovernmental. I think that's just gonna have to
We're
be
gonna table that one for now, but then.
table that one. On page what was it? On page 13. That most was changed to some.
Yep.
In the last paragraph, reliance on non-tax revenue. Most was changed to some,
Yes.
Yep.
and then,
The word income changed to other.
and
other.
income taxes was crossed off
Okay, that's fine too.
in the second line. In the fifth line, from to that Corona Act Relief and Economic Security Act CARES Act is stricken. On page 9 of the document. That header on 4 is going to say add management after that.
Mhm.
Page 6.
Yeah.
Or strike the
Second
word-
line.
Strike the word modest.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, I've
Okay.
got notes. And we have a recorded meeting now too that we can refer.
Oh, yeah.
Superintendent Silver, did you have something you'd like to add just for clarification?
Yeah, on the reliance of non-tax revenue in regards to the CARES Act and stuff like that, the information that you were talking about restricting. My suggestion is I would not take out what's written, and the reason why is because at the time when that was passed, park districts were not considered this. The purpose of this document is to show the efficiencies of governments working together. And it's the county on their goodwill that decided to make that include us in it. So the first part is very accurate to say the park district was not involved in the CARES Act. We were not given any money for that. And you go to the second page, where page 14, where it says we did get CARES Act, that is a fact. So there's no contradiction here. It's just how the government laid out the money. Park districts talk to the representatives. The representative says, hey, let's cut a portion of that money out and give it to park districts. That's what happened. So in my mind, reading this, I don't see a contradiction. And it's just, this is information so you understand, I didn't write this, but I understand why they wrote. And so just so you understand the purpose of whoever wrote this, it's showing a working relationship with the county and the other taxing bodies. So just an FYI for you on that.
Is there a better way to word it?
Page
'Cause
nine.
it just seems weird to.
Yeah, that we
say-
didn't get, I mean, that might have
So
been,
can we say the initial CARES?
It just
Ones?
feels weird in 2 sentences. to
Yeah.
say we didn't get it and then
We
2
got it.
sentences later, but we
I
got it
think
here.
what
I-
it's
I
saying is
get
that we didn't rely on it then, right?
Well, it's,
So,
it says that we didn't, essentially says we didn't receive that money in direct financial assistance, which we didn't. To Scott's point, it was a lobbying effort from park districts and our local representatives and our county representatives that actually was able to carve out the money that those funds gave the DuPage County. So yeah, we can wordsmith a little bit to, but that's the spirit behind this statement.
and I would probably reword it where it's saying for the efficiency part, like you got it through the
Yeah,
county.
Kind of,
obviously.
Scott, if you could, if we could put in like kind of the way Scott explained it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Through the efficiencies of intergovernmental work, we did get some.
So that you'll have to get from Scott.
Well, we can,
That was a good
we can
point.
provide that as in draft form for the next go around.
Scott, hearing Scott explain it completely changed my opinion of the whole paragraph.
Yeah. Well, and again, maybe like less, I'm, feel like I'm representing a resident understanding and point of view, or a park district user point of view. So yeah, everyone's looking at it from their own perspectives, which is why you have a mix of people on the committee. So yeah, not knowing all the ins and outs of the management of the park district from the board point of view or the staff point of view. It was flowing okay to me and as a resident and a user. But I see from what's being said, a need for some just rewording and clarification.
As far as, I'm concerned, I look at this is an efficiency report, and this is what we residents want to see. You're working in our best interest efficiently. And I think this is substantive and also very comprehensive. This is an impressive town. And I hope that our homeowners, our residents get a chance to see this.
I think it'll be up on the website, won't it?
Yes,
We'll mention it in the pathfinder too, just to,
perfect.
emphasize it.
Will the county have it on their website as well? Is that my understanding?
I don't know.
Okay,
They'll have it. What they choose to do with it, I don't know.
okay.
It probably means more to us living in Lisle than it does to, the county.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
But we do have to
as long
file
as
it with
we get-
them.
As long as we get it, the word out, I think that helps Park District and it helps us understand better what's going on with the Park District.
The only other thing I would say, and I had thought of this the first time I ever read it, and then I went back to it. So the very first section on purpose. So often after, you've written a report or you've done some big project, before you finalize it, you go back and revisit, oh yeah, what was really the purpose of doing this? And did we address it? Well, I think it's addressed, but I'm wondering if in the purpose section, we might even add a sentence or two. Because I was thinking, well, purpose, is it the purpose of the park district? Page 2 in the document, the first section. Is it the purpose of the park district, the purpose of this committee, or the purpose of the report? I think it's referring to the purpose of the report overall, right? Like, why are we creating this report? And so in this simple sentence, it does say, formed a committee to study efficiencies and report recommendations. We almost could add another sentence or two that just says, and this report covers, or like you were saying, a comprehensive overview of the park district, its efficiencies, and notes, recommendations, or something like that. Just making it a little bit more of a complete introduction and pointing out, oh, now that this report is done, what does it actually cover?
Do
in
you
few
think that we
words.
should change it to say, like, instead of just purpose, should it be purpose of this report? Or purpose of adding to the title and the content?
Well, I guess I would ask if Dan or John knows, was this a template that was given? Because I think that you were filling out these sections based on headings that were provided to you. So maybe it just stays as purpose, but we explain a little bit more.
I like your suggestion.
The-
I think it adds more depth.
Yeah, and certainly starting out with all blank sections, I'm sure someone wrote a purpose statement, and now that it's all filled in and it is substantial, we could just be a little clearer or informative.
Yep.
And I'd be happy to try to, come up with a sentence to propose.
We can work
To
together.
right
on-
track with what you just said, I think.
Yeah,
Now we're-
yeah,
I wrote
Oh,
some
it's
of it down.
recorded.
You could tune in and watch yourself. See what you
No, I'll
said.
look forward to that.
Any other discussion amongst the committee?
I just want to say thank you for the effort that you've put into this format of it. It was very easy to navigate and read through and very clear what each section was intended to communicate. Other than some of the discussion that we had, but from a formatting perspective, it was wonderful. So
Oh,
I
good.
appreciate all the effort that was put into it.
Good. Well, I think there were a lot of people behind the scenes as well. But no, it's
Okay.
interesting to work on, and I think it's coming out good. I really think that it's valuable to have such vetting, and even if all opinions don't necessarily have concurrence, but there are good filters to run through to decide what should be added, what's okay as is. So good discussion too.
So
Alright.
to sticking to the agenda of this decennial committee, there is, just for public record, there is no one here from the public to provide comment or feedback.
Public.
Do we have to make a motion to adjourn or do we just adjourn?
We can just adjourn.
Okay.
As far as I know.
All right, well, if there's no other comments, we can close this part of the agenda. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, there is no, I'll let you guys go back to your seats, sorry. Unless you really wanted to stay on camera.
No, that's okay.
That was funny. Did he call this a ramp park?
All right, so Don't believe we have any unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business, the skate park equipment discussion. So
I like that you called it the community park ramp park.
Well, I
Oh.
spoke with the director at Westmont Park District this afternoon. They're gonna be doing a new park of theirs, and they're calling theirs an all-wheels park.
I like it.
Fun.
Under the same premise that we called ours a ramp, because we didn't want to limit bicycles or scooters.
Cool. I saw somebody inline,
Are there.
somebody was inline skate.
I know, Tom, you had an email. Did you have any other comments outside of your email?
Yeah, I don't agree with just awarding it as a no bid contract, especially for a firm that we used 20 years ago. I would prefer to go out to bid and do an RFP for a project this size. I know with doing a quick Google search, there are several firms out there that do this work and have worked on projects throughout the Chicagoland area. Competition is good. No reason to hand it off to a firm from 20 years ago. I know there's in the memo, we talked about like, if we went with this firm to do the community engagement, that we would get the $4,000 credit. But if we went out to bid, we could always get a lower price. Also, I see a conflict of interest to have the same firm do the community engagement and then do the actual project. It's not independent, and they will have a motive to drive up the size and cost of the project. They may steer the engagement project process to a larger project. I kind of brought up the same concern last month in regards to the facility assessment at Sea Lion Aquatic Park. If they do the planning, they should be disqualified from the construction project. I'm not sure if there are any local firms which can reduce travel expenses. I also kind of question if we need a consultant for the community engagement part. We have a professional staff that can handle this. We could also do a Survey Monkey or use Survey Monkey for some outreach. I guess the one question I have, actually, there was a question I had when Dan and I were out by the skate park earlier today too, is, so they won't actually attend in person in the community engagement. It'd be like a Zoom meeting or something, but if they come in, it would be 15,000 plus additional travel. 1,500, I'm sorry, and additional travel. To me, if we're gonna spend that type of money, the 4,000, I think I would like them here. I don't know if it's worth it in the scenario where we're paying 4,000 for like somebody to be just in the Zoom. So I prefer to have staff handle it. And going back to like it being a no bid contract, even though we've had some success with their product over the last 20 years, even ARC, or was it American Ramp Company, says it's uncommon for their product to last this long as it did. So there's no guarantee we will get the same results the next go around. And I mean, in general, this is not specific to the skate park, but a lot of products, the quality has gone down in the last 20 years. So I know it's more metal with stuff, so that might not be something. The biggest thing is I think it should go out to bid for a project this size. I mean, if it was somebody, especially since we haven't used this firm in 20 years, so.
I can just say it's not a no bid project. It's going through Sourcewell is an accepted, it meets all the Illinois state bidding requirements for public agencies. So it's not a no bid. It's really not a no bid project. They did the bidding for us.
And
So what does that mean? Can you explain a little bit further how the process works?
Right, so Sourcewell is a cooperative purchasing alliance, so they facilitate public bidding on everything from toilet paper to dump trucks to skate park equipment. So they provide their specifications, they solicit participation to give that organization their best price, and based on those prices, they're awarded the contract for skate park equipment, for example, or for F-450 dump truck that we can't get a hold of. So they do, and it satisfies all the local bidding requirements. And it avoids, my head, they talk about efficiencies, it avoids staff time from having to develop detailed specifications, do the public bidding, do the bid opening and all that, the newspaper advertisements and everything, because it's already been done for us. For example, the Westmont Park District, they're just on my mind because I spoke with Bob this afternoon. They're doing the same thing. They're going through Sourcewell for their for their equipment.
And is the reason that they do the public engagement, I mean, obviously, because they know what's possible and what's not possible and what they're talking about, where our staff might not know, and they know what the footprint is, because we actually direct the scope. They couldn't, Tom, I would disagree. They can't really direct how big the project is because we set the parameters and the boundaries for
Yeah, it's
that.
not going to be done in a vacuum. It's going to be with the public and the board's input all along.
But is that why they facilitate the engagement process?
They do, and I think also, and I appreciate the compliment on being a capable staff, but the way it was explained to us, and I tend to agree with it, is if, depending on what participation we get, if there's a group of, say, avid skaters that are doing most of the talking or that are making these requests or recommendations, having it facilitated by these professionals, they can kind of ferret out and say, okay, that's great, but this is a park that's got to be suitable for beginners too. So they'll do a good job of balancing I guess the skill and the talent that's required for each piece.
It sounds like if we were to have staff just do it, it would end up adding a third process because then they'd ultimately have to go with all the notes over to see if what they were asking is even accommodating in what we're trying to obtain.
I think,
Or,
I understand
um,
where you're coming from, but I think if the park district's going to contemplate spending even $150,000 on equipment, I would feel better about having somebody who's been doing this continuously for the last 20+ years versus us, who the last time we did this was 20 years ago.
And I mean, at this
It's a
point, we're
good
really just
investment.
talking about the community engagement part, right? Like we haven't budgeted anything. We really
No.
haven't approved anything, right? We're not talking about the scope of the project yet, right?
No.
If I could say so, for those of you who were here, I think the process we'd be going through with the ramp park would be very similar to what we went through with the Discovery Playground. I mean, we used an outside source and a company that came in. And again, I don't think we as a staff could have come up with Discovery Playground because we could have bought the equipment, but with with their input and knowing some of we made significant changes to some of the stuff that was brought out in public engagement based on them having done, 75 or 100 of these playgrounds. So I think the process is similar. I think it's a good process because it allows everybody to take a look at it, and you've got somebody who is already on Sourcewell that's the cheapest or the best bid, and they're involved in the community. They know what these types of situations would be. So I just wanted to point that out.
It matters. 20 years ago, American Ramp Company was the lowest responsible bidder too. And the Sourcewell is on a national, they advertise their process on a national level, where ours, we throw a wide net out there, but it only captures the local area, where the Sourcewell is on a national. So they're getting participation from firms all over the country.
And I'll add, when we spoke with them through Zoom, I had the mindset that we would be driving the community engagement and was thinking about SurveyMonkey and all of that. And it took us probably 20 minutes into that call before I realized that the technical jargon, the options there, like we wouldn't even know what questions to really ask. We'd be consulting a lot with them just to make it productive processes, so
That's what I was
I think
saying.
that would be very helpful to have them involved.
I was saying, I don't know if the average, I couldn't sit and talk about skate parks or ramp parks and what was going in. That's why I'm concerned with the third layer would actually cost us more in the long run.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what any of those things are called at the ramp park.
Yeah.
I know Brandon's tried to run up and down them a couple times. Worked, but
I guess the only thing I'll finish up with, I know we're not talking about the actual scope or anything of the project, but I do have concern about that preliminary cost. I understand the skate park is used and do support redoing the park. But overall, it is a unique feature that it's a niche, like we were talking about. So it is a smaller percentage of the overall population that uses it. I would probably suggest like a $200,000 cap on the project because, the users are going to want the best of all worlds and, which will put the cost of the project on the high range or even higher than the preliminary estimate. So, we just started the Sea Lion Aquatic Park facility assessment, and I know there's going to be some significant cost coming out of that project. And we have a finite resources, as we just saw in the efficiency committee. So we need to keep all this in mind as we go forward with planning future capital projects. So, that's why that initial cost kind of, it's like, well, wait a minute, we got other, like that sea, especially with Sea Lion Aquatic Park, you know, so.
Can I,
Yeah.
so where do we go then? What would you guys, once you, I know there's nothing today for no recommended motions or anything. What would be the next thing then if, like the board was in agreement to go up to 300,000, would we do much like the other process where they show us, you know, what this is what basically you could get for that, what the footprint is and
Yeah.
what it would kind of look like?
Right, because I don't know, maybe you, anyone knows more than me, but I don't know exactly what a $200,000 skate park's gonna look like.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a lot of things. I mean, that's why our position has always been to engage the community and try to be a representation of what the community wants by way of any facility. So that's why I don't really like setting, you know, a ceiling on a lot of things because it's, I think we're here to represent what the community wants. And if everyone wants a $150,000 skate park, great. If they want a $300,000 one and we can demonstrate there's an ability to fund it, that's, I see that as staff's job is to figure out how to give the community what it wants without being excessive.
And there's-
So at any rate, to your question,
Yeah.
Carrie, yeah, they would present us with a couple of different options to look at, to share with the any kind of the board and the focus groups and just go from there, kind of like the Tate Woods project.
Yeah.
It'll start some, you know, big and it'll funnel down into what I would think would be something that everyone can get their arms around.
And then that's when the board would vote on the scope or whatever of that. I mean, and I do have to say, my opinion is spending a lot of time in community park, that's a really high use area. There's always someone out there, at
And-
least 5 or 6 people out there. It's really high use.
And Superintendent Pratcher reminded me this afternoon too, that that's the demographic that uses a skate park is so difficult to get to participate in anything. So to me, I would rather see us do something a little on the nicer side, because that's the only thing that those kids are really willing to do in the park, that we would condone, put it that way.
Right.
But again, it's a public process rather than us working in a vacuum. And I would, like the memo said, I would encourage all of you to be as involved as you're willing to be. So if there's a consensus to at least move forward with this first step, yeah, by the time they're finished, say by the end of the summer, when we're starting to put together the first draft of the 2025 budget, we'll kind of have an idea, a barometer on what's that number going to be? And that'll, to your point, Commissioner Humble, that'll tie into whatever other priorities need to rise up to the top. And if we identify or hear that there's a lot of need out at the aquatic park, which we are anticipating that, everything is got to fit together. So I just think it's premature to set any limit on it right now.
I'd say we
I don't know about
support,
the big number, but
I'd
yeah,
say we support moving forward with the research and get something that's scalable, right? Like, which is exactly what you guys are proposing, right? Like, they're going to bring something forward that would be on the higher end and the lower end based on the feedback from the community
Yeah.
and based on where it's going to fit into our budget. And then we can come to the table and say, this is what our actual scope needs to
Mhm.
be.
And what our footprint is.
Yeah.
Yeah, ultimately, you're the five
Yeah.
of you are going to make the decision.
I personally am all for, again, you know, redoing that. 20 years is a long time. Never would have believed it was so cut. I mean, the fact that we opened one when we did was so exciting. I mean, we were one of the first people to have a skate ramp park, whatever. So, and again, from my perspective, it is a really high use thing. And I'm just out of habit. I look every time because when we first opened it, I looked to think, how many people are really going to be there? And I was always surprised when I drive through the park that there's someone always over there, at least, you know, 4 or 5 kids. So high use.
All right, so Dan, do you have your direction? Any other discussion?
I mean, I agree, it needs to be redone. I still kind of would like to see it bid out though. That's.
Well, we're not there yet.
Yeah, so we could still get to that part, yeah. All right. Moving on to staff reports. Any questions, comments on the staff reports?
Can I add a comment for staff reports? I just wanted to introduce Sarah Maycano, who started with us today as the new Assistant Superintendent of Recreation. So she had a full day. She's been part of multiple trainings and meetings and attending the board meeting tonight, but she's gonna do great things. We're really excited to have her, and we'll formally introduce her to the board at the meeting.
All right, so I got time to prep for every question. All right. All right, C-SPAR report is submitted. Any questions, comments? All right, officer reports, Carrie?
Well, it'd be you first.
No, I was gonna let you go. It's
That's okay.
your name's first. All right. No, I don't really have a whole lot to report. Just excited for the summer season to get here and finally start doing events and all that kind of stuff. Brandon's already all excited for Camp Summer Quest. You'll see his smiling face frequently. And then looking forward to, just the parades, the concerts, all that kind of stuff. So looking forward to a fun summer. Scott?
All of our money is either FDIC or fully collateralized, so all of our money is protected. Nothing different other than we've issued the bonds, as you said, through April of this year. It's pretty standard. Nothing's really drastically changing. Enterprise fund, a little better than last year, I believe, at this time. Golf started early. It could have started even earlier if I allowed it to go on February. I've been told by my staff I should have allowed golf in February, and I'm like, I was just trying to let the grass grow, but we're doing well with that, so it's moving along nicely. I don't really have anything else on, everything else is pretty much status quo, and moving forward.
Any other reports?
I do. I went on May 8th to the 46th Annual IAPD Legislative Conference. It was very informative, great content. It was down in Springfield. There were a lot of legislators there. We got to meet a lot of our legislators, got to meet a lot of new people from different districts, which was really interesting this year. We kind of branched out, and so we got to know a couple more South districts that we had to have a dinner with, which was really nice. And as I was saying at the beginning, when we started the meeting, some interesting different conversations then too, and learned some new things. And I was appointed again to the IAPD Conference and Education Committee for the next year.
Nice.
Going forward. So I will serve on that committee again as a representative for our district. That's it.
Dom,
The
Terry?
only I actually have another question, and I haven't had a chance to go to all the parks. Are we protecting any of the trees from the cicadas or
Oh,
not?
good
I haven't.
question. Good question.
No,
Oh.
there have been some requests
Yeah.
to do so, but we just don't
It's
have
too
the
many.
capacity to monitor that. I mean, we'll be out and around, and if we see anything struggling that we can take any action on, we will. But yeah, Aaron has been fielding a lot of requests, and you let one person go drape it over a tree, you're gonna get them all over the place. And it's the young trees that are
Oh, yeah,
vulnerable.
yeah.
And it's putting those things on and off. You can break as many branches as you're trying to save from the cicadas. So we're just gonna try to keep an eye and let Mother Nature run its course, and we'll do what we can to intervene if needed.
Last year, or during the last cicada outbreak, I think we lost maybe 10 trees at the most. And they were really, really young ones, and we replanted them. So we've had quite a bit of public outreach about that. And we've just told them no. Like Dan said, we let one person do it. We have to let everybody do it, kind of. We do have one out in Community Park that somebody decided on their own to do their memorial tree. And I did speak to her this afternoon, and we'll be removing it in the morning. So she wasn't very happy about it, but again, it's one of those, and we're afraid it's going to do some damage to the tree more than what the cicadas would probably do to it, but it was done without permission. So it'll be removed tomorrow.
Is that where most of the public outreach is? Is they're wanting to do it on their own? As opposed
Yes,
to
they
asking
want
us to do it?
protect Park District trees.
Okay,
People that have tree that's right next to their property line in their backyard, or a very specific tree that they love in a park or something, and they are calling and asking at least they're calling and asking, but they are calling and asking. We're like, no, please don't. And if you do, we'll be removing it, just so you know. So,
Yeah.
Mostly it's been positive. Today's was fairly positive, but again, we're and the guys are looking in the parks because there's a lot of people doing it in their own trees. But this is the first one we've seen in the park that nobody's asked.
Are they at least asking about like the younger trees? Or are they just looking at all?
No,
trees?
in general, it's the younger trees.
Okay.
We did have one person that wanted to put them on asked me if we could put it on one of the oaks over at Timber. And I
like one of
said,
the big
"No, I
ones?
don't think that one needs protection. It survived many cicada outbreaks.
Out of recall, how was it the last time with the cicadas? Was it? 'Cause I don't remember being that bad personally, but I don't know how it was with the park district.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Recall it being
Yeah.
that
Bad.
hand either.
No, it wasn't bad.
Knock on wood. I mean, I know this one's a bigger one, but it's the further north we are and we're further up north, but that overlap of those broods, they're not expecting it to be that significant up here. We're still gonna get it, but
Yep.
not like
From-
downstate.
And from my recall, there's certain areas in Lisle where, I mean, I think we had certain parks where there were definitely more. I mean, if you were in the Old Oak section of Lisle, there were a ton, and then you'd go to some newer neighborhoods and it was pretty quiet.
Mm.
So I don't think it's gonna be consistent across.
Yeah, like, Timber Park had quite a few, Abbeywood, Hitchcock Woods, the
Yeah.
undisturbed area, the areas that are more undisturbed. A lot of green trails and a lot of the meadows didn't have a lot. It was all scraped and moved. So they're, like, the meadows have been around long enough where there was still quite a bit, but I don't remember green trails having a lot, so.
And then, you know, the other one probably like Peach Creek up there.
I don't, in the wooded areas around it, but the park itself, I don't remember having specifically any, but we just redid that, what, 15 years ago? So
Right.
give or take. Yeah, and the overlapping brood area is quite a bit south of here. It's down at Iroquois County. So, I don't think will have any effect here. I mean, it may be more than last time, but I don't think it'll be as bad as people are thinking.
So that's another, like, kind of, I guess, bizarre question. Have we made any thoughts about camp if it is bad in the parks? That effect? Has anyone
We
talked
haven't
about
really
that?
planned for that, but if we need to adjust for some reason, we'll figure out a way, but I don't anticipate there being too much of an impact other than noise and.
Yeah, and the kids will play with them.
It's picking
I
up,
was
yeah.
wondering, yeah.
Extra snack for the cookout days.
It's protein.
We are starting to see a few of them here. There's a couple down at the park trash. So.
Oh,
I did notice a
Yeah.
couple holes,
Not-
like in mulch by my house. I saw a
Yeah.
couple holes. Yeah, here it is.
It's funny. Just one other thing I forgot to say when I came back, but I did bring back, the booklet, the information. One of the tabs in here was, the 2023-2024 legislative platform, which goes through some bills that are, being contemplated now. So if anybody's interested, I'll leave this. Dan's also got a copy. It's pretty interesting reading.
Yeah. They're like heads up of the stuff that's to come.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool.
Stuff. Right. And it just like, it'll tell you what certain things, just like one of them that's on the, that is in there in the House right now is permits park districts to enter into solar energy and equipment agreements for up to 20 years. So I mean, you know, once you read it, the first time I went, there are things that you don't even realize that are going on in Springfield, that affect our park districts. So it's interesting.
Cool. I would like to.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Yeah. Terry, any reports?
Just echo President Wessel's comments. Excited for summer to get started. Just wanted to share that I've had even more people both within our community, within Lisle and outside in the neighboring communities in Naperville and Downers Grove. Excited to be able to join our summer programs, especially with their kids this year. So whether it's a result of us being able to expand or word of mouth, whatever it might be, it's just really neat to hear that and people coming forward and being really excited to specifically target Lisle and the programs that we have here. So
We told people some of the field trips that they're going on at Camp Summer Quest, they're just blown away.
yeah.
Really cool stuff.
John, the theater program is off to a real strong start.
Yeah,
this
so,
season, too.
yep, so you've seen the numbers for our internal camps. For whatever reason, I hadn't been including our summer theater program, but our dance recital just took place at the early May, and that exceeded numbers from the previous year. And our summer theater program, we just took some people off the wait list and hired an additional staff, so we're even poised to do a little bigger and better than last year as well. So we'll add that to the numbers in our reports for the June board packet. But yeah, everything's looking good. People are excited and staff are too. So we've been already starting training. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll really be hitting it hard, getting ready for first day on June 3rd.
Awesome.
All right, anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We'll adjourn the meeting at 8:04.
Right.